when you're restless, when you're fun, cause you're desperate. Oh, here they come for a chance, for adventure. What's your poison? What's your pleasure? Oh, my city, she never sleeps. My city, she never weeps. My city, she keeps me alive. Give it up for my city, oh, oh. Give it up for my city, oh, oh. Give it up for my city, oh, 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 oh. Give it my city, my city. My city, my city. Where do you go when your heart's with a fever? Won't you scroll, but you won't leave her? Oh, here we are, all the freaks and believers, all the sweet neon dreamers. Oh, my city. She never sleeps. My city, she never weeps. My city, she keeps me alive. Give it up for my city, oh, oh. Give it up for my city, oh, oh. Give it up for my city, oh, 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 oh. Give it my city, my city. My city, my city. Give it up for my city, oh, oh. Give it up for my city, oh, oh. Give it up for my city, my city, my city. Give it up for my city, running wild and looking pretty, oh, oh. Give it up for my city, my city, my city. Where do you go when you're young, when you're restless, when you're fun, cause you're desperate? Oh, here they come for a chance, for adventure. What's your poison? What's your pleasure? Oh, my city, she never sleeps. My city, she never weeps. My city, she keeps me alive. Give it up for my city, oh, oh. Give it up for my city, oh, oh. Give it up for my city, oh, 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 oh. Give it
Hello, Gleanites. Welcome to Glean Network. I am Mr. Glean,
And I am Maven.
and today we're going to talk about NXT from last night. We missed out on our show last night because we had some sick people in the house, so
Yeah,
we,
had to deal with that yet
Yeah.
again. Seems like every Wednesday somebody's sick.
yeah, seems like it.
I guess we should just hop right into the show.
Yes.
So the show opened with Johnny Gargano coming out with his brand new NXT North American Championship. And he came out and talked about, pretty much everything leading up to it, to when he won the championship, and that Johnny Wrestling is back. And that he is, he's proud to be champion, and, he went on and on about that. And then Tommaso Ciampa came out and, talked about how you followed my advice, Johnny, and you followed in my footsteps, and look at you now you're a champion, and we could have all the gold, and Johnny was not having any of that. He doesn't, at this point it doesn't look like he wants to team back up with him and be DIY.
Well, I don't know what's happening with that, because he did that. He said, I don't want to be part of, you know, I did this on my own. It's my show. I did it. You had nothing to do with it. And then the Velveteen Dream came out.
Yeah.
And said that he didn't want to challenge Thomas because Velveteen Dream won the
Worlds Collide tournament.
Yeah, Worlds Collide tournament. And decided he didn't want to wrestle Tommaso Ciampa. He wanted to wrestle for Johnny Gargano's NXT North American Championship.
I thought he was going to do that in the first place because of the fact that they kind of had like a butting heads type thing over the last couple of weeks. Just kind of going back and forth. Not even like a rivalry, but like just kind of like that like friction, you know? So I figured that Dream would go after Gargano's the NXT Championship, you know, if he won it at the takeover, in which he did. So that was my initial thought from the beginning when he won the tournament.
Well, I thought that's who he was going to wrestle anyway. So then the Velveteen Dream basically challenged Johnny Gargano, and that match will be in 2 weeks on NXT. I believe it's 2 weeks, right?
Yeah.
2
weeks.
So Gargano begins to leave the ring, and Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano stand there and look at each other. Still no clue what they're going to do with this.
And all while this is happening, the crowd is like yelling, like DIY, DIY. Like everybody wants to see them get back together as a tag team.
But right now, with the way WWE is, they'll screw it up and they won't.
They won't do what people want to see.
So anyway, they leave the ring. They end up leaving. They're going to the back, and then we have our first match with Jason Riker of the Forgotten Sons.
Jackson. It's Jackson.
Or Jackson, sorry. What did I say?
You said Jason.
That's what I read. Forgot an X out of there. Jackson Riker of the Forgotten Sons versus Mansoor.
It wasn't a bad match, but it wasn't like super entertaining.
It was a quick match.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that was Mansoor's first match on NXT or not.
I remember seeing, I think I've seen him before. I believe it was when they did the Greatest Royal Rumble, and they brought him out as somebody in the Greatest Royal Rumble from being, like, coming from the other country, to be in NXT or, like, the training facilities or whatever. So I think that's where I've seen him before. I could be wrong. It might be a different guy that I'm thinking of. But wasn't a bad match, but it wasn't great either. It was just really fast. And, just kind of like filler for the show.
But, I mean, it was better. At least they had a match.
It's better than not having any... Yeah, it's better than not having any matches at all.
Yeah.
On the show, like last week.
Yeah, definitely.
Then we have backstage, there is a Ricochet interview, where Kathy Kelly was trying to get an interview with Ricochet, and then Adam Cole came in and was like, why are you trying to get an interview with him? Because, like, I'm going to be the next in line for the title, the North American Championship. And then Ricochet came out, or came out from doing his photo shoot that he was doing backstage, and he was like, the first chance that I get to go back and get my championship, I'm taking it. And I'm going to win my title back, and just you watch. Just you wait and see. And they will have a match next week. Now, whether that is for the spot for the championship, I don't know. I think it's just a match, from what I gathered from watching it last night. But it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah. I
like both of their characters. Like,
well, they're two of the big stars, and they're both entertaining in NXT.
Yeah.
They're more entertaining than some of the wrestlers up on the main roster. So I would hope to see both of these guys move up.
I was gonna say, with the Superstar Shakeup coming up here very soon, April 15th and 16th, I'm not so sure that they're waiting to move them up until then, which I think it'd be great for the main roster, So I guess we'll just see I'd like to see them move up in the Superstar Shake-Up and be moved up from NXT to the main roster, but, you know, again, knowing WWE, it may or may not happen, so.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Like I said, both these guys should probably go up to the main roster because they're as entertaining as a lot of the wrestlers that are on the main roster right now, so
Yeah.
I think they could add to it if the WWE uses them right.
Yeah.
So then we have Drew Gulak versus Eric Bugenhagen. This was Eric Bugenhagen's first match. He came out like he looks. You said he looks like
I said he looks
Rick
a lot
Rude.
like Rick Rude.
Smaller Rick Rude.
Smaller Rick Rude, like the style, like with his hair and like just like the crazy, like colorful outfits. You know what I mean? Like, you know, didn't have faces on his pants or whatever, but like it reminds me a lot, and even like the mustache. Like it's just, I wonder if that's kind of where he got his inspiration for his character, like look.
I have no idea, but
his style is totally different from Rick Rude.
I like the way. I liked his entrance. I liked the whole thing with him. We didn't get to see him in the ring. You know, they really didn't wrestle a real long time.
No.
So you didn't get to see a lot there. The little bit that I did see, I think he needs a little bit of work in the ring. But I think.
But he has the crowd behind him.
Oh,
like
yeah,
the crowd
definitely.
was for sure. They were like chanting for him, like from the get go. And I know when the announcers were like announcing him or whatever, and then the commentators were talking about like his inspiration for whatever is, you know, like a mix of Freddie Mercury and something else was like his inspiration for his style and stuff, which is it's, you know, an interesting character idea.
Yeah.
And there isn't anybody like him right now.
No.
So.
And it was, like I said, it was interesting seeing him come out. I mean, from the get-go, I liked his persona. I liked the way that he came out. And he got the crowd over. Considering this is his first time wrestling in NXT, he had the crowd, you know, the crowd was chanting and got into it for him. So I think that if he develops in ring, and I don't know what his mic skills are or anything like that.
Yeah, because all he heard was, ah!
Yeah. So if he develops those, this guy could be, you know, an up-and-coming star here in WWE.
He definitely could. He has a lot of star potential. Like, even just from, like, you know, the 5 or 10 minutes we saw of him last night.
Definitely.
Like he has a lot of potential.
So then they have the match. Gulak ends up winning by submission.
And Gulak then gets on the mic and he says, "Is that really the best you're gonna give me? You're gonna bring this guy out? What even was that guy? Like, I beat him in like 2 seconds." And so he was like, "Really? This is what you're gonna send out?"
He had a funny line that I thought, and a lot of people, if you've seen Dodgeball with Ben Stiller, he made a comment of something about, you bring out this Ben Stiller Dodgeball lookalike guy to wrestle me, and I just thought that was funny just because, you know, I'd never thought of it that way, but this guy, you know, this Bugenhagen kind of had that kind of, you know, upbeat persona, and it is kind of a Ben Stiller lookalike, so I thought that was kind of funny how Gulak said that.
Then Gulak challenged. He was like, you know, bring somebody else out here, bring someone else out here, and see what I do. And then Matt Riddle came out, and he talked to the mic, and he was like, "Bro," he did his whole thing, and then you know, I don't even remember what he said, but Gulak said something along the lines of like, take your flip-flops off and like come and step to me, and then he like
Kicked
jumped out of his flip-flops, and it was like, I thought that was funny. And I really like Matt Riddle's character, actually.
I like his character. You know, the first time I watched him wrestle, I wasn't impressed with like his wrestling ability in the ring.
Yeah.
He did a lot better this time in ring than he did last time. I thought he was more entertaining. I thought he was more. It was more believable this time. It wasn't kind of the kind of clunky, goofy fall over. You know, I felt that's the way the first time I saw him.
Mhm.
that's the way it was. But this
Yeah,
time,
the first time we actually saw him wrestle was at Takeover.
yeah,
Because that was the first time he'd been back in ring since he had his injury, whatever it was, concussion or something.
so, I thought he was a lot better in this match. I thought Gulak did a good job. It was a good match.
Mhm.
Matt Riddle did end up winning by submission.
Yep.
At the end, they shook hands. It was a good match.
It was. It was
Very
definitely a good
entertaining.
match.
So then that brings us to our main event match.
And for this match, it is kind of like a retake on the match that we had last week at NXT, which was Io Shirai, Kairi Sane versus Jessamyn Duke and Marina Shafir. Only this time we have added in with Jessamyn Duke and Marina Shafir, we have Shayna Baszler, and then with Shirai and Sane, we have Bianca Belair. And they did the 3-on-3 type style match. I didn't think this was a bad match either. Io Shirai, Kairi Sane, and Bianca Belair did end up winning. Io Shirai won the match via pinfall. And what I thought was interesting is what I think they're going to do is just watching some of the body language from Bianca Belair and Io Shirai in the end of the match. Kairi Sane was real happy that they won the match. But Bianca Belair was like, great job. Woo.
I think she felt she should have been the one to pin.
Yeah.
And because I think in the middle of it there was a tag that she wasn't expecting to be tagged.
Yeah.
And she was upset about that. And so then, was it Io Shirai that got in? And
yeah, Io Shirai ended up winning the match.
So she got in after tagging Belair unexpectedly, and I think that upset Belair. So I think they're getting ready to set up.
I was going to say, I think that might set up something with Shirai
and Belair.
Belair.
Just from the looks of it.
Yeah. Just out of the body language and everything that we saw. Again, not a bad match. I enjoyed it.
I thought it was a good match. I do think I think Shayna Baszler is a decent wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
She does a good job with what she's doing.
Yeah.
I think Jessamyn Duke and Marina Shafir need to work a little more on their in-ring.
Well, I was gonna say they have been in NXT for less time than Shayna Baszler because they had just come in just recently, and Shayna Baszler has been in NXT for almost a year, maybe closer to 2 now, because she was in the first Mae Young Classic, and then shortly after that, she was moved to the Performance Center to train, and then she was put on NXT shortly after that, and then won the championship. And so she's had more experience down in NXT than Shafir and Duke. So again, it's just going to take time for them to.
Well,
learn
the one thing I see is they're trying to give them a push.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. They put them in the main event on NXT.
And this is the second week in a row
and
for Shafir and Duke.
Yeah,
being the main event of.
Their mic skills, I don't think are real good, and
I haven't really seen enough of their mic skills to
their
say
wrestling.
whether or not.
Just watching their wrestling does not seem to. They need to work at it. So to push them over and try and push them, and I have an idea what they're trying to do. In my opinion, what they're trying to do is they're trying to push them over and possibly push them up to the main roster.
So we see the four.
So we see the 4 horsewomen against each other. Although I've seen some reports now that may not happen, and part of that may be because Duke and Shafir are not getting over big in NXT just because,
it makes no sense to move them up to the main roster if they're not doing well in NXT.
Well, and their skills, they need a lot of work on their skills. They're not bad, they're not terrible.
No.
But they're not real good with their skills on in-ring. And from, I've seen them talk a couple times on the mic, and I just don't feel that they are ready. They need work. Mm-hmm. And over time that may come.
I think at this point in time, Baszler could go up to the main roster, right now. If she were to, drop the championship and they were we want you on the main roster, I feel like she could slide by with going to the main roster, but I feel like her wrestling skills, they still need to be a little bit more sharpened. It's not where, it's I guess Ronda Rousey or whatever, and comparing the two because their wrestling styles are very similar, and they both came from the UFC stuff, and to see where Ronda Rousey is and then like where Shayna Baszler is. Like they're neck and neck with each other, but like it's like Rousey has that like upper hand just a bit. So it's like Baszler needs to get.
Rousey has the upper hand a bit because of. I think she does better on the mic than Baszler.
Yeah.
But the reason she got the she has times where she messes up, but there's times where she's really good on the mic.
Yeah.
But I think she got the push just because she's Ronda Rousey and was known as being, the
baddest woman on
deadliest
the planet.
Yeah. So I think that's why she's.
That's part of it too. Is she's bigger than Baszler is, but like looking at the two, like I definitely think Baszler could go up to the main roster right now, but I like her skills just need to be heightened a little bit more.
Definitely. So that was the end of the match. That was the end of the show. Overall, this show I thought this was better than last week.
So much better than last week. I said this should have been the show that
last week
was last week
after
Takeover.
Yeah.
This
Definitely.
What even was last week? Like last week wasn't even like anything. Like it was a whole bunch of recaps, and there were 2 matches. One of which was like very short, and then we had Io Shirai, Kairi Sane, Duke and Shafir in that match, and so it's like. What even was last week? Like, last week shouldn't even be, like, just erase it from your mind.
Yeah, because it wasn't.
It wasn't worth anything.
I will say this: that in this hour, I felt was better since I kind of started following wrestling again and watching stuff. And you decided we talked about doing the show, and we've been doing this now for almost 3 weeks.
Almost 3 weeks now. This upcoming.
I watched the Royal Rumble, and then I watched the Raw and SmackDown after.
Oh, we watched the Raw and SmackDown before it.
The week before.
So we watched the week before, then we had Rumble, then we had the week after, and then we had last week.
This was the best hour of WWE wrestling in the last 3 weeks. Just my opinion. And that includes the Rumble, because I didn't think the Rumble, there was a lot of things that happened in the Rumble that I didn't like. And there's really no storylines. In NXT, I feel they've got some storylines developing. They're trying to create some storylines, and they're trying to stick with it. Mm-hmm. Now they can screw it up, and obviously. But at least you have some storylines being developed.
Or something to, like, kind of a baseline for everything,
Yeah,
like,
definitely. And I feel that right now, with Raw and SmackDown, I sound like a broken record, but they're not doing that. And when they do have a storyline, they mess it up. They don't.
I.e. Becky Lynch.
Well, they don't give people a push. They do things goofy. When someone's on a roll, they do things goofy and have them get beat. We have Asuka, who
we haven't seen in 2 weeks.
Yeah, we haven't seen her since Rumble.
She's not gonna do anything. I don't think they're gonna bring her back this week either, because Elimination Chamber is not this weekend, but next weekend, which we will be doing a stream on. That's next weekend, and so I don't even think she's gonna be on SmackDown on Tuesday. I just don't see it happening. They're not gonna bring her back until after Elimination Chamber is what I think is gonna happen, because they're not gonna focus on her at this point in time.
Yeah. So
I don't even know. She came off of like a pretty big win, because everybody was thinking Becky Lynch was going to win.
Yeah, so I would give this show a B+. I thought it was a solid show.
I'm going to say about the same, about a B+. I definitely think that this week should have been last week's show, and last week's show just needs to be erased, and this is the way stuff should have gone after TakeOver.
Yeah, definitely. So. It was a good show.
It was.
If you don't have WWE Network and you want to see NXT, you can. I think you can get WWE Network for like a month for free.
Your first month.
Check it out. We're not getting paid by WWE Network, but I think it's solid. I've watched a lot of old matches, and maybe somewhere down the road we can do
this day in
history or wrestling or something, and talk about an old WrestleMania or something that happened in the past.
I've gone back through and I've watched the Mae Young Classic that happened a couple months ago. I watched that just to see some of the wrestlers that were in there. And, I've been watching old wrestling for a while. you know, last couple years. I don't even know what it was that I started watching WWE Network. It was like right after WrestleMania 30.
Yeah, you've been watching
30?
it for a while. We've had it for a while.
30? I think it was 30. So,
And
like
I
5
really
years?
haven't sat down and just watched wrestling in a while, so, you know, just started recently watching it. I've kind of picked things up. I know who people are. I'm starting to learn who people are even more and what their characters are and things like that. So
I think you're picking up what they're putting down.
well, it's not tough because they're storyline.
Well, it's just really a matter of remembering who's who.
Yeah, definitely.
That's your only issue.
So if you like this, give us a thumbs up. If you don't like it, give us a thumbs down. And leave if you whether you like us or not, leave us a message as to why we're good or why we're bad, what we need to work on. Maybe it's our camera's not good, our lighting's not good, something. Sound's not good. Let us know. We'll work on it, try and fix things. We want to make this the best show for people out there. Subscribe to us if you like us, so then you know when we're going to come, when we'll be out.
We will be. We should be back on Monday.
We'll be back Monday for
Monday Night Raw, and then Tuesday and Wednesday, and then we have Elimination Chamber next weekend. So we will be back like 4 times next week.
After next week.
After next week, you know what I mean.
So it'll be
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday,
Raw, SmackDown,
Sunday.
and NXT, and next week they're supposed to have the big shakeup. So
No, that's not next week.
when is it?
April.
Oh, it's in April. April 14th, 15th, right?
15th, 16th.
15th.
See? He can't even remember dates. How do you expect him to remember wrestlers' names?
That's right. I don't remember dates. I just remember seeing 15, 16, or 14.
15, 16. Now, what month it is, I don't remember, but, you know, it's fine. But yeah, we'll be back a couple times next week to go over the regularly scheduled programming and then the pay-per-view event, so.
Yeah.
Oh, and we'll have a prediction video in there, too. Either Friday or Saturday.
Yeah, we'll throw out a prediction video. So if you want to see that, come check it out. Other than that, I think that's it.
And we will
Later.
see you all.
Peace out.
Bye, guys.